What's going on, Grace Commons? Welcome back to week 2 of programming. So glad to have you back. Hey, and if you're not here with us tonight and you're online, that's okay as well. Hope you guys have an awesome night watching online. For those who are in person though, super important, keep these masks on. Hey, if you have a Grace Commons mask, we love to see you representing it. If you have another mask, great, leave that one on. You could do both if you want. I mean, you choose. It's kind of either or, but you could do both too. That works too. Hey, just important thing, keep them on all night long, no matter what, even if you're 6 feet apart, keep the masks on so we can keep program going all fall and keep having fun here in the building. And I'd say that leads me to my last point. Have fun. Enjoy the evening with your friends. Enjoy the evening with your leaders. And I hope small group goes really well tonight and you guys have an awesome time back here in person. Love you guys.
Well, hey friends, I am so excited to share a little bit about what God has been teaching me about race and justice and how to love my neighbor well. And so I just want to take a quick minute to share a verse that has been impactful to me as we think about this conversation. So in the beginning of the Bible, God says this. He says, "Let us make mankind in our image, in our likeness, so that they may rule over the fish in the sea, the birds in the sky, the livestock, and all of the wild animals." Basically, over everything. And what I want you to catch there is that God says He makes us. He makes you, He makes me, He makes the people sitting around you in your small group in His image. And what's wild about that is God is crazy in the ways that He creates. He creates mountains, He creates ice cream, He creates our bodies. My heart is beating and I'm alive right now. His creation is good and creative, and it lives inside of you and me. And why I think that matters is sometimes it can be difficult to find the God in me, in you, or in the person at your school that you don't like, or in the person that looks different than you, or in the person on the side of the road who doesn't have a home. I don't know about you, but sometimes I go, where's God in them? Or they're not acting very nice, or they're different than me, and so I don't recognize it. But what I want you to see is all of us, every single person on the earth, is made in the image of God, and they are worthy of our respect and love and awe. I have great awe for God. He created the mountains, He created ice cream, He created us. And so in that, I have awe and respect, and that lives inside of you. And so we are called and asked to love and respect the God in me and the God in you, because He created us. So I'm so excited for you to just chat for a minute about that in your small groups, and then Megan will be up here to share a little bit more.
Hi friends, my name is Megan. If we haven't met already, I'm so glad you are back for week 2. It's going to be so exciting. We're so glad we get to do this. Tonight I'm going to talk about a story about when I tried to do something new. Have you guys ever tried to learn how to do something new, whether that was skiing or, picking up a craft or just doing anything, picking up online school? That's new, that's hard to figure out. Tonight I want to talk about when I learned how to wakeboard. Wakeboarding is just like snowboarding, but on the water. And my family loves to go boating, and so we love to try different water sports. So when I was in middle school, I learned how to wakeboard. And I have a little brother who is very athletic and can pick up any sport just like that. And whatever you give him, he's good at. Anything. Golfing. I don't know who's good at golf right away, but he is. He's good at bowling right away, football, soccer, you name it, he's good at. Superhuman, I guess. I don't know. But I am not like that. I am not that athletic. I am not that skilled at sports. And so I watched him learn how to wakeboard first, and he picked it up so fast. And so I was like, okay, I got this. I'm ready to go. Put my life jacket on, got in the water, and was sitting there holding the rope, because you have to hold the rope and you're sitting in the water, and then you get pulled up by the boat. And so I was like, okay, I just have to get pulled up by the boat. That's easy enough. No, it was not that easy. It fell straight on my face the first time around and the third time around. And finally, I did stand up and then fell again. So it was very hard to learn how to wakeboarding, for me at least. That day, I had a huge headache from falling on my head so many times. And you know what? Who else might have had a headache that day was my dad, who was driving the boat. You know, thinking back to that story now, I'm like, wow, he must have had a headache too from driving round and round in circles to come pick me up, because once I fell in the water, he had to come around with the boat and come to where I was and throw the rope back out to me for me to catch it, to then get ready again for him to pull me up again to fall. So he was doing a lot of work driving the boat to come get me every single time I fell. And I'm just like, wow, I'm so glad that he was just gave me so much grace and patience, because I probably would have given up if he didn't just was super nice and would just throw me the rope and say, try again, you got this. This is maybe what you could do better this time. Because if he was like, why didn't you get up just like your brother? You know, why can't you get up? Like, I don't want to come get you again in the water. I would have been like, okay, well then I'm done. I'll just come in the boat and, you know, just sit there. So I'm really thankful that he was so patient with me and was so loving and didn't give me a hard time for not getting up as fast as my brother did. This reminds me of a story in the Bible where Jesus shows his love to Peter, who is one of his best friends, and they did life together. They were pretty much with each other all the time. Do you guys have a best friend that's with you all the time, that knows everything about you and loves you anyways? Well, that's kind of like Jesus and Peter. So one night, Jesus was not in the boat with Peter and the disciples. Jesus was still on land, and Peter and the other disciples were just out on the boat trying to catch some fish, and next thing they know, it's kind of like gloomy outside, and they see this figure walking towards them. If I was on a boat at dusk seeing a figure walking towards me on the water, I would be scared. I don't know about you guys. And that's exactly what happened. The disciples and Peter were like, what is that? Is that a ghost? They were so scared. And in Matthew 14:27, Jesus says, take courage, it is I. Don't be afraid. And then Peter says, Lord, if it is you, tell me to come on the water and walk to you. So Peter pretty much asked Jesus, like, can I walk on the water like you were to you? And Jesus was like, yeah, of course, come. And then Peter started getting distracted by the wind that was coming towards him, and he started to sink. And so that's maybe could be like you and I. If we're focused on Jesus, but we get distracted by something else, we could maybe feel ourselves starting to sink, just like how Peter felt like he was starting to sink, because he got distracted by the wind and was scared and kept his eyes off of Jesus. But then Jesus said, no, I'll save you. And he reached out his hand and helped Peter back up, and Peter was no longer sinking in the water. And Jesus said, you have little faith. Why do you doubt? And I just think that's so cool that Jesus wasn't like, oh, you got distracted. Oh, you got distracted with your homework. Oh, you got distracted with, you know, your family or your friends, and you forgot about me. Jesus over here, hey. But he was like, no, Peter, I am going to reach out my hand and love you and, you know, save you from sinking in this water. I think that's really cool. And I think that's just how Jesus showed his love through patience with Peter. And you know what's really awesome? He does the same for you and I. He doesn't get mad at us, just how my dad didn't get mad at me for messing up. Jesus doesn't get mad at us for messing up on accident. So I think this ties in to what we should talk about in small groups, and I want you guys to think about you know, maybe what's one memory you have of a way you weren't patient with somebody else. It could be your sister or somebody at school who kind of got on your nerves and you weren't super patient with them, and that could have maybe hurt their feelings. And so I want you guys to think about that first, and then that ties into my second question, which is, how can you guys make that better for the next time around? Maybe next time I get upset with my sister sometimes, and so next time I'm gonna be like, okay, I'm gonna take a step back, and instead of getting frustrated with her, I'm gonna put myself in her shoes and just think, how could I give her grace or forgiveness, or be patient with her and just listen to maybe how she's feeling, and then we can work through whatever's going on. That's my next question, is to just think about what's one thing you guys could do this week where you could be more patient and not just act out of frustration or annoyance. And maybe that's how we could love everybody well, and just that could affect them, and they could then be like, wow, they didn't get mad at me for making that mistake. Now I'm gonna go love this person that maybe frustrated me today. It's a whole cycle. Isn't that really cool? So we are so glad you guys are able to be with us tonight. We hope you enjoy small groups. We'll see you next week. Bye.